So, I think my first encounter with the liberal arts problem was around my junior year at Abilene Christian, then college, now university. And I was in a class, the professor was Dr. Neil Lightfoot. It was a class on the Gospel of John. And we got to a key verse of the Gospel of John, and he said in his lecture, it might mean this, or it might mean this. There's a conflict in the original Greek manuscripts. And I remember thinking, what do you mean it might mean two things? I mean, there's got to be an answer. There can't be two possible answers. Well, I had other professors that kind of led me through that process, a man named Tom Albright especially. His exams were all one question, right. And oh, what great exams. And I hated his guts. I loved it. But the real moment came in my postgraduate work when I was trying to get a PhD and never finished the dissertation. The professor was Dr. Walter Fisher. He was at University of Southern California, and he was the editor of the National Journal in Communication, the Quarterly Journal of Speech. And it was a class in rhetorical theory. And so he said, this is what Aristotle said rhetoric is, and this is what this person said it is, and this is what Kenneth Burke said it is. And I was still a dumb idiot. And so I raised my hand and I said, so Dr. Fisher, what is rhetoric? And he looked at me and he said, you don't get it, do you? And so I want you to write down on page 2, you've got a little spot on the bottom left. I want you to write down a phrase. Are you ready? Here's the phrase. There is no one answer. Now just kind of stare at that. There is no one answer. And if you want to add a second phrase, you can add this phrase. It's not that simple. So the world is divided into two groups of people, more than two. Those who say, here are the answers, and those who say, you know, the questions keep challenging us, and there is no one answer. So this book, with the provocative title of You Can Do Anything, but notice the subtitle, The Surprising Power of a Useless, he's got that in quotes, liberal arts education. Here we go, on page 2. Follow along, mark it up. I'm going to go quickly. Why is this book worth our time? Number one, you or someone you know is trying to figure out what they want to do when they grow up. This book can help. And by the way, I've talked to about 5 of you today who, not 20 years old, are into launching something. We are all always trying to figure out what we're going to do when we grow up. Number 2, this book makes the case that the useless liberal arts education is not that useless after all. It is, in fact, very valuable and may be increasingly valuable. And I'll explain why in a minute. Number 3, read between the lines, and this is a book about developing and maintaining a serious work ethic. I cannot tell you how many times I have seen in the pages of the books I present, the world belongs to people who work really hard. That's really key. And number 4, read between the lines, and this is definitely a book about soft skills, creativity, inventiveness, clear communication, and problem solving. Read you a number of my highlights, not all of them, but a number of them. Follow quickly. Number 1, curiosity plus data science equal market research. Empathy plus gene sequencing equal genetic counseling. Creativity plus information networks equals social media manager. It's a rich, wonderful grid. In the course of this book, we will explore all sorts of ways your liberal arts education and society's needs can fit together. Number 2, the central insight is this. I love it when an author tells me that. The central insight is this. The more we automate the routine stuff, the more we create a constant low-level hum of digital connectivity, the more we get tangled up in the vastness and blind spots of big data, the more essential it is to bring human judgment into the junctions of our digital lives. Turn to, all right, I've got six lessons and takeaways, and there are only 5 listed. You're going to have to write number 6. So here we go. Here are my lessons and takeaways from the book. Number 1, embrace the liberal arts yourself and liberal arts graduates. We do need more than just engineers. We really do. Add number 6, become an exceptional storyteller. Work on that. You can do anything. The surprising power of a useless liberal arts education. Hope you found this useful. Thank you very much.